Hamas did orient toward a long-term truce, as they called it, a truce where we would ensure that they are in a place where they can't hurt Israel. Part of that was rebuilding Gaza, but the discussions revolved around a few things that I think might actually end up being some of what you see post Steve Witkoff.
So on that topic, Trump administration moving to revive the ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas. Not easy. Special envoy to the Middle East is Steve Witkoff. He meets with the negotiators this week in Qatar, and he joins us now. And, sir, thank you for your time. We know your plane leaves in an hour, so there's a lot to get done, and let's get to it now. Here is what the U.S. goals are for Phase 2. We want, as a country, releasing all the remaining hostages, extend the ceasefire until after Ramadan and Passover, develop a long-term truce to end the war. The Israelis believe there are 59 hostages still being held, 22 of whom are alive. One includes an American, Edon Alexander, screen left here, that we're showing on our monitor. Hamas is ready to accept this committee to govern that would suggest that they're willing to give up some control. But as late as last week, I think they were still demanding the IDF leave the Gaza Strip entirely. I cannot see that being a starter for the Israeli government. Do you?
No, it's not a starter, Bill. A starter is Hamas demilitarizing, not rearming, leaving all their arms on the ground, and leaving Gaza. That's the start.
Okay. Do you believe Hamas is willing to accept the IDF in a peace deal or some sort of negotiated truce that would leave their military in Gaza?
I believe they have no alternative, Bill. There's no logical or rational choice for them other than to leave. If they leave, then I think all things are on the table for a negotiated peace deal. And that's what they're going to need to do.
I know that you and President Trump are both businessmen, and you think that deadlines help make things work. And that worked the last time, right, in terms of getting we had to have the hostages out by a certain date. But then Hamas has fudged around with a few things. When it comes to this next phase, what is the deadline now?
Well, Dana, I like your use of the word fudged around. I would say that substantially understates their behavior pattern. But with all of that said, I said, yeah, I would say to you, yes, we need deadlines. That's what has to happen. People have to understand that we accept a certain behavior pattern. First of all, the way these hostages are being kept is unacceptable. We've interviewed all the hostages who have been released. The conditions are deplorable. Many of the hostages come out, they're sick, they haven't eaten, they haven't been given medical care. It's a terrible proposition for them. And so that's just simply unacceptable.
Do you know what role Iran is playing in this? And I know that you'll be talking with the Qataris. Do you trust the Qataris in this?
The Qataris have been great. Sheikh Mohammed has been, he's mediated many crises all over the world, he and his team. He doesn't get the credit for it. We give him the credit. They've been outstanding in the way that they have engaged with us, with the Israelis, to get the hostages out so far that we've been able to get out. And I think they've been really an important part of the peace process. But there are other nations in the Middle East who have also been an important part. The Egyptians have been very, very relevant. General Hassan and his entire team, he's the director of intelligence. The Saudis have helped. The Emiratis have helped. It's a total effort.
Let's move to Russia, because this is part of your week as well. Mm-hmm. At the moment, is the U.S. government fully sharing intelligence with the Ukrainian military?
Well, we never, my best understanding, Bill, is that we never shut off intelligence for defensive, for anything defensive that the Ukrainians need. So that's never been shut off. And I think that you'll see that the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who are on their way to Saudi Arabia as we speak, for talks with the Ukrainians, that topic will be on the discussion list.
Okay, is the same true for weapons in that war?
I would assume so. When you say the same true for weapons, you're talking about whether the spigot is shut on or off?
Correct.
I think that aid was shut off for a bit of time. I'm really not sure where we are. That would probably be a better question for our national security advisor.
When it comes to this meeting in Saudi Arabia, is it possible that you would be able to have the United States sign a deal with Zelenskyy there in Saudi Arabia? Or, as President Trump suggested, it's possible that Zelenskyy would return to the United States. Could that happen this week?
Boy, Dana, I would certainly hope so. I think that part of a mediation like this is to move the two sides closer, to narrow the differences. We've gone a long way to do that with the Russians, and I am really hopeful. All the signs are very, very positive from Zelenskyy, from his next in command, Yermak, from the Europeans, and I think that we're going over there with an expectation that we're going to make substantial progress. And so I'm certainly hopeful for that.
Okay, last question on this then. President Trump sat down with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend, specifically on this topic, and said this.
We gave him, in my opinion, $350 billion. Europe is in for $100 billion. We gave him $350 billion.
Do you expect Zelenskyy to come back? Do you expect to do that rare earth minerals deal?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll happen. Biden should have never put up $350 billion. All he had to do is say, you got to stay even with us. They're in for 100. We're in for 350. How does that? And we have an ocean in between us, right? We're not in the danger that they are.
I guess we come back to the same question then after that. Does it get done this week?
You know, Bill, I hope so. Zelenskyy sent a letter to the president. He apologized for that whole incident that happened in the Oval Office. I think that was an important step. And there's been a lot of discussion between our teams and the Ukrainians and the Europeans who are relevant to this discussion as well. And I would like to describe it as progress. And so I would hope that there's a deal. What's on the table, what's important to discuss are, obviously, security protocols for the Ukrainians. They care about that. The territorial issues, the utility plant. But these are not complicated things. They just need to be put on the table, and everybody needs to be transparent about what their expectations are. Then we can begin to have a discussion around how we compromise.
Well, now your plane leaves in 48 minutes. And I would ask you this. What is your best tip for dealing with the jet lag that you surely must have to deal with?
I think you just, Dana, I think you submit to it, you get used to it, and you follow the lead of our boss, Donald J. Trump, and you just keep on going, because that's what he does, and that's what... just get on with it. That's exactly correct.
Good luck. We're hoping for success this week.
Thank you.
Come on back when you can. Thank you.